Join me as I dive into the wild world of commonly misunderstood aspects of Mars. From towering volcanoes to planet-wide dust storms, you won't want to miss this. The red planet has been a source of fascination for humans for millennia. From its rusty red hue to its towering mountains and sprawling valleys, there's no denying that Mars is a world unlike our own. But with all the excitement and speculation surrounding our celestial neighbor, it's easy to get caught up in the myths and misconceptions that have built up over time. So in this video, we're going to separate fact from fiction and explore the truth behind some of the most commonly misunderstood aspects of Mars. Mars is often referred to as a dead planet, devoid of any signs of life or activity. But is this really the case? NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has provided a wealth of evidence that suggests otherwise. Take, for instance, the discovery of ancient rivers and lakes that once flowed on the planet's surface. These waterways would have been perfect for supporting microbial life, and who knows, maybe even paving the way for more complex organisms down the line. And then there's the Curiosity rover, which has been sniffing out signs of methane on Mars since 2012. Methane is a potent indicator of microbial activity. So was Mars ever home to any form of life? Over the coming decades, we may just find the answer. But what about the idea that Mars is geologically inactive? Think again. While the planet may not be as volcanically active as Earth, it's got its own unique geological rhythms. Take, for example, the ever-changing dunes of Mars' massive Gusev crater. These towering sand formations are constantly shifting and morphing, driven by the planet's harsh winds and temperature fluctuations. This is hardly the picture of a dead planet. The Martian surface is also home to some of the most extreme and dynamic weather phenomena in the solar system. From massive dust devils to towering dust storms, Mars is a world of intense and rapidly changing weather patterns. And at the heart of it all is the planet's thin atmosphere, which is both a blessing and a curse when it comes to supporting life. On the one hand, it provides a small but fragile shield against the harsh radiation of the cosmos. On the other, it's woefully inadequate when it comes to retaining heat or supporting liquid water. Let's move on to another myth that's been gaining traction online: the idea that Mars is home to gargantuan, towering volcanoes that dwarf their earthly counterparts. While it's true that Mars has some impressive volcanic formations, the reality is a bit more nuanced. Take, for example, Olympus Mons, the largest volcano on Mars and the largest in the entire solar system. While it's an undeniably massive feature, its slopes are actually relatively gentle, with an average incline of around 5%. Compare that to the steep, rugged peaks of volcanoes on Earth, and you'll see that Olympus Mons is more of a giant shield volcano with a slight incline from the base to the caldera. But what about volcanic activity? Mars does have some volcanic activity. It's actually a relatively rare occurrence. In fact, the planet's most recent volcanic eruption is thought to have occurred about 53,000 years ago in the Cerberus fossae of Elysium Planitia. Since then, Mars's volcanic landscape has been largely shaped by wind erosion, rather than ongoing volcanic activity. One of the most striking features of Mars's volcanic landscape is its sheer scale. With volcanoes stretching over 16 miles high and hundreds of miles wide, it's easy to see why they'd be mistaken for towering, Earth-like peaks. So while they may not be as steep as those found on Earth, a volcano is a volcano, and Olympus Mons is the undisputed king. So, let's tackle another myth that's made the rounds. The idea that Mars is constantly beset by massive planet-encircling dust storms. While it's true that Mars does experience some pretty intense dust storms, they're actually relatively rare and usually confined to specific regions of the planet. The planet-engulfing storms usually only occur every few years, and scientists are still puzzled as to why. Take, for instance, the massive dust storm that swept across Mars in 2018, courtesy of NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. While it was certainly an impressive event, it was hardly the norm for Martian weather. By the way, you can also thank this storm for killing off the Opportunity rover. In reality, Mars's dust storms are usually triggered by specific weather patterns and temperature fluctuations that occur in the summer months of the planet. And yes, Mars also has seasons. They're not some kind of perpetual planet-encircling phenomenon, but rather a a dynamic and fascinating aspect of Martian meteorology. And when they do occur, they provide scientists with a unique window into the planet's atmosphere and geology. So, what's the takeaway from all the misconceptions and myths about Mars? At the end of the day, it's all about separating fact from fiction and getting to the heart of what makes Mars such a fascinating and enigmatic world. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of Mars. And if you're hungry for more planetary exploration, be sure to check out our other videos. See you in the next one.